Chapter 23 of the surprising adventures of Bampfylde Moore Carew, King of the Beggars, by Bampfylde Moore Carew. This recording is in the public domain. A Dictionary of the Cant Language. As the language of the community of gipsies is very expressive, and different from all others, we think we shall gratify the curious by publishing a specimen of it. Abram, naked, without clothes, or scarce enough to cover the nakedness. Ambidexter, one that goes snacks in gaming with both parties; also a lawyer that takes fees of a plaintiff and defendant at once. Allelwackets, blows given on the palm of the hand with a twisted handkerchief, instead of a ferula; a jocular punishment among seamen, who sometimes play at cards for wackets, the loser suffering as many strokes as he has lost games. Abram Cove, among thieves, signifies a naked or poor man; also a lusty strong rogue. Adam Tyler, a pickpocket's associate, who receives the stolen goods. Air and exercise, he has had air and exercise, that is, has been whipped at the cart's tail, or, as it is generally expressed, at the cart's arse. Alls, the 5 alls, is a country sign representing 5 human figures, each having a motto under him. The first is a king in his regalia, his motto, I govern all; the second a bishop in his pontificals, motto, I pray for all; third a lawyer in his gown, motto, I plead for all; fourth a soldier in his regimentals, fully accoutred, with the motto, I fight for all; and the fifth a poor countryman with his scythe and rake, motto, I pay for all. Amen curler, a parish clerk. Anodyne necklace, a halter. Arch rogue, or dimber damber, upright man, the chief of a gang of gipsies. Arch doxy, signifies the same in rank among the female cantors or gipsies. Ard, hot. Autumn mort, a married woman, also a female beggar with several children hired to excite charity. Autumn, a church, also married. Autumn baller, a preacher. Autumn cacklers or prick ears, dissenters of whatever denomination. Autumn divers, church pickpockets, but often used for church wardens, overseers of the poor, sidesmen, and others who manage the poor's money. Autumn jet, a parson. Babes in the wood, criminals in the stocks. Backed, dead. Badge coves, parish pensioners. Balsam, money. Bam, a jocular imposition, the same as humbug. Bandog, a bailiff or his followers, a sergeant or his yeomen, also a fierce mastiff. Bandero, a widow's mourning peak, also a musical instrument. Baptized, rum, brandy, or any other spirits that have been lowered with water. Barker, a salesman's servant that walks before the shop and cries, coats, gowns, etc., what do ye buy? Barking irons. Pistols, from their explosion resembling the barking of a dog. Barnacles, a good job or a snack easily got, also the irons worn by felons in jails. Barrel fever, he died of the barrel fever, he killed himself by drinking. Batner, an ox. Bawbee, a halfpenny. Bawdrins, a cat. Beak, a justice of peace or magistrate. Beard splitter, a whoremaster or a beadle. Beater cases. Boots. Bellows, the lungs. Belly cheat, an apron. Bill of sale, a widow's weeds. Bing, to go. Bing avast, get you gone. Binged avast in a darkman's, stole away in the night. Bing we to Rumvilk, shall we go to London? Bingo, brandy or other spirituous liquor. Bingo boy, a dram drinker. Bingo mort, a female dram drinker. Bingo waste, get you hence. Black fly, the greatest drawback on the farmer is the black fly, that is, the parson. Bleating rig, sheep stealing. Blind harpers, beggars counterfeiting blindness, playing on fiddles, etc. Black box, a lawyer. Black Indies, Newcastle, from whence the coals are brought. Black spy, the devil. Blind cheek, the breech. Blowen, a whore. Bluffer, an innkeeper or victualler. Boarding school, Bridewell, Newgate, or any other prison or house of correction. Bob, a shoplifter's assistant, or one that receives and carries off stolen goods. Bobken, or a brownmankin, a well-furnished house. Bone, to apprehend, seize, or arrest. Bone box, the mouth. Bone Darkmans, a good night. Bone setter, a hard-trotting horse. Booby hutch, a one-horse chaise, noddy, buggy, or leathern bottle. Board, a shilling. Bouncing cheat, a bottle. Bracket face, ugly, ill-favoured. Brown George, an ammunition loaf. Buck's face, a cuckold. Boof, a dog. Butt's eye, a crown or 5-shilling piece. Bung, a purse, pocket, or fob. Burr, a hanger-on, a dependent. Bum bailiff, a sheriff's officer who arrests debtors, so called, perhaps, from following his prey and being at their bums, or, as the vulgar phrase is, hard at their arses. Blackstone says it is a corruption of bound bailiff, from their being obliged to give bond for their good behaviour. Bumbrusher, a schoolmaster. Busnapper, a constable. Busnapper's Kenchin, a watchman. Byblow, a bastard. Caul, a cloak or gown. Cank, dumb. Canakin, the plague. Cap, to swear. Captain Queernabs, a fellow in poor clothes. Caravan, a good round sum of money about a man. Case, a house, shop, or warehouse. Cason, cheese. Castor, a cloak. Calfskin fiddle, a drum. To smack calfskin, to kiss the book in taking the oath. It is held by the St. Giles casuists, that by kissing one's own thumb instead of smacking calfskin, the guilt of taking a false oath is avoided. Canticle, a parish clerk. Canting, preaching with a whining affected tone, perhaps a corruption of chanting. Some derive it from Andrew Cant, a famous Scotch preacher, who used that whining manner of expression. Also a kind of gibberish used by thieves and gypsies, called, likewise, pedlar's French. Catamaran, an old scraggy woman, from a kind of float, made of spars and yards lashed together, for saving shipwrecked persons. Catch Club, a member of the Catch Club, a bum bailiff. Chanticleer, a cock. Charactered, or lettered, burnt in the hand. They have palmed the character upon him, they have burned him in the hand. Charm, a picklock. Chates, the gallows. Chats, lice. Chanter curls, Grub Street writers, who compose songs and carols for ballad singers. Cherubims, peevish children, because cherubim and seraphim continually do cry. Cheat the devil, a dicky. Chife, a knife, file, or saw. Chosen pells, highwaymen who rob in pairs, in the streets and squares of London, to prevent being followed by the sound of their horses' shoes on the stones, they shoe them with leather. Chuck farthing, a parish clerk. Clanknapper, a silver tankard. Clickman toad, a watch, also an appellation for a west countryman, said to have arisen from the following. A west countryman who had never seen a watch found one on a heath near Poole, which by the motion of his hand and the noises of the wheels, he concluded to be a living creature of the toad kind, and from its clicking he named it a Clickman toad. Clows, rogues. Cloy, thief, robber, etc. Cloys, thieves, robbers, etc. Cly, money, also a pocket. He has filed a cly. He has picked a pocket. Cold burning, a punishment inflicted by private soldiers on their comrades for any trifling offences of their mess laws. It is administered in the following manner. The prisoner is set against the wall, with the arm which is to be burned tied as high above his head as possible. The executioner then ascends a stool, and, having a bottle of cold water, pours it slowly down the sleeve of the delinquent, patting him and leading the water gently down his body till it runs out at the bottom of his trousers. This is repeated to the other arm, if he is sentenced to be burned in both. Cloak, a silver tankard. Coach wheel, or a fore-coach wheel, half a crown. A hind coach wheel, a crown. Cobblecotter, a turnkey, collar day, execution day. Colquarron, a man's neck. Cometha, a shirt or shift. Commission, a shirt. Comfortable impudence, a wife. Cooler, a woman. Costard, the head. Court card, a gay fluttering coxcomb. Cow's baby, a calf. Cow-handed, awkward, not dexterous. Crab shells, shoes. Cramp word, sentence of death passed on a criminal by a judge. He has just undergone the cramp word. Sentence has just been passed upon him. Crew, a knot or gang. The canting crew are thus divided into 23 orders. Men, 1. Rufflers, 2. Upright men, 3. Hookers or anglers, 4. Rogues, 5. Wild rogues, 6. Priggers or prancers, 7. Palliards, 8. Fraters, 9. Jarkmen or patricoes, 10. Freshwater mariners or whipjackets, 11. Drummerers, 12. Drunken tinkers, 13. Swaddlers or peddlers, 14. Abrams. Women, 1. Demanders for glimmer or fire, 2. Bawdy baskets, 3. Morts, 4. Autumn morts, 5. Walking morts, 6. Doxies, 7. Dells, 8. Kinchin morts, 9. Kinchin coves. Crookmans, hedges. Coxy, a stupid fellow. Crook, sixpence. Croaker, a groat or fourpence. Croppin, the tail of anything. Cucumbers, tailors. Cuffin cove, a drunken fellow. Cull, a fellow. Cut his stick, run away. Culp, a kick or blow. Cup hot, drunk. Cuspitors, pettifogging attorneys. Cussin, a man. Darby, ready money. Dace, tuppence. Tip me a dace, lend me tuppence. Dag, a gun. Damber or dimber, a rascal. Dancers, stairs. Darkmans, night. Dash, a tavern drawer. Dawby, a bribe or reward for secret service. Decus, a crown. Dagon, a sword. Diddle, gin. Diggers, spurs. Dimber damber, a top man among the canting crew. Also the chief rogue of the gang, or the greatest cheat. Dimbermort, a pretty wench. Doche, a cloak. Dobbin rig, stealing ribbons from haberdashers early in the morning or late at night, generally practised by women in the disguise of maidservants. Doctor, milk and water, with a little rum and some nutmeg. Also the name of a composition used by distillers to make spirits appear stronger than they really are. Doctors, loaded dice that will run but 2 or 3 chances. They put the doctors upon him, they cheated him with loaded dice. Dodsey, a woman, perhaps a corruption of doxy. Downy cove, a smart fellow. Drumbelow, a dull fellow. Dunnikin, a necessary or little house. Dunaker, a stealer of cows and calves. Eriffs, rogues just initiated and beginning to practice. Eternity box, a coffin. Facer, a bumper without lip room. Families, rings. Fams, hands. Fastener, a warrant. Fawney, a ring. Feeder, a spoon. To nab the feeder, to steal a spoon. Furmity beggars, all those who have not the sham sores or climbs. Ferret, a pawnbroker or tradesman that sells goods to young spendthrifts upon trust, at excessive rates, and then hunts them without mercy, and often throws them into jail, where they perish for their debt. Fidlum Ben, general thieves, called also St. Peter's sons, having every finger a fish hook. Flag, a groat. Flash, a periwig. Flay-bottomist, a bum thrasher or schoolmaster. Flick, old-fashioned or sly. Flicker, a drinking glass. Flicking, to cut, cutting, as flick me some pania and cassin. Cut me some bread and cheese. Flute, the recorder of London or any other town. Flyers, shoes or boots. Fogus, tobacco. Tip me a gauge of fogus, give me a pipe of tobacco. Froglanders, Dutchmen. Frummagemmed, choked, strangled or hanged. Furman, alderman. Gaberlunzie, a beggar. Gan, a mouth. Gans, the lips. Gauge, a liquor pot or a tobacco pipe. George, a half-crown piece. Gem, a fire. Gentry cove, a gentleman. Gibberish, the cant language of thieves and gypsies called pedlar's French. St. Giles Greek, and the flash tongue. Also the mystic language of Geber, used by chemists. Gibberish likewise means a sort of disguised language, formed by inserting any consonant between each syllable of an English word, in which case it is called the gibberish of the letter inserted. If F, it is the F gibberish; if G, the G gibberish, as in the sentence, how do you do? How dog you dog. Gig, a nose. Snitchell his gig, Philip his nose. Grunter's gig, a hog's snout. Gig is also a high one-horse chaise. Gypsies, a set of wandering vagrants found in the country. When a fresh recruit is admitted into this fraternity, he is to take the following oath, administered by the principal Maunder, after going through the annexed forms. First, a new name is given him, by which he is ever after to be called. Then, standing up in the middle of the assembly, and directing his face to the dimber damber, or principal man of the gang, he repeats the following oath, which is dictated to him by some experienced member of the fraternity. I, Crank Cuffin, do swear to be a true brother, and that I will in all things obey the commands of the great tawny prince, and keep his counsel, and not divulge the secrets of my brethren. I will never leave nor forsake the company, but observe and keep all the times of appointment, either by day or night, in every place whatever. I will not teach any one to cant, nor will I disclose any of our mysteries to them. I will take my prince's part against all that shall oppose him, or any of us, according to the utmost of my ability, nor will I suffer him or any one belonging to us to be abused by any strange Abrams, rufflers, hookers, paillards, swaddlers, Irish toils, swigmen, whipjacks, jarkmen, bawdy baskets, domerars, clapperdogins, patricos, or curtails, but will defend him or them as much as I can against all other outliers whatever. I will not conceal aught I win out of libkins, or from the ruffmans, but I will preserve it for the use of the company. Lastly, I will cleave to my doxywap stiffly, and will bring her duds, Marjorie praters, gobblers, grunting cheats, or tibs of the buttery, or anything else I can come at, as winnings for her whoppings. Jigger, a door. Globe, pewter. Glue pot, a parson, from joining men and women together in matrimony. Glaziers, eyes. Glim, a dark lantern. Glimfenders, hand irons. Glim, a candle. Glimstick, a candlestick. Jailer's coach, a hurdle. Goose riding, a goose whose neck is greased, being suspended by the legs to a cord tied to two trees or high posts. A number of men on horseback riding full speed attempt to pull off the head, which if they effect, the goose is their prize. This has been practised in Derbyshire within the memory of persons now living. Grannon gold, old hoarded coin. Green bag, a lawyer. Grig, a farthing. Gropers, blind men. Gutter lane, the throat. Hammer, a great lie, a rapper. Halberhead, a silly foolish fellow. Half nab, at a venture, unsight, unseen, hit or miss. Half board, sixpence. Hams, breeches. Hamlet, a high constable. Hand-me-downs, second-hand clothes. Hanktel, a silly fellow, a mere cod's head. Hansenkelder, a jack-in-the-box, the child in the womb, or a health to it. Harmon, a constable. Harmonbeck, a beadle. Hawk, a sharper. Hazel gold, to beat any one with a stick. Hearing cheats. Ears. Heaver, the breast. Hell, the place where the tailors lay up their cabbage or remnants, which are sometimes very large. Hempen widow, one whose husband was hanged. Henfright, those commanders and officers who are absolutely swayed by their wives. High tide, when the pocket is full of money. Hocus, disguised in liquor, drunk. Hodmendods, snails in their shells. Hog rubber, a close-fisted, narrow-minded, sneaking fellow. hop merchant, a dancing master, humbox, a pulpit, Humpty Dumpty, ale boiled with brandy, hums, persons at church, husky lower, a job, a guinea, iron doublet, a parson, Itchland, Ireland, Jack Rum, a license, Jack Adams, a fool, Jack a dandy, a little insignificant fellow, Jack in a box, a sharper or cheat, Jack at a pinch, a poor hackney parson, Jacobites, sham or collar shirts, Jack, a steal, Jet, a lawyer, Ken, a house, Kicks, breeches, Killdevil, row, Kinchin, a little child, King's pictures, money of any description, laced mutton, a woman, lag, last, lagging behind, to be hindmost, lage, water, lage duds, a buck of clothes, lambskin men, the judges of several courts, lanspressado, he that comes into company with only twopence in his pocket, lantern, a dark lantern, the servant or agent that receives the bribe at court, libben, a private dwelling house, libbage, a bed, lifter, a crutch, lightmans, the day or daybreak, line of the old author, a dram of brandy, little Barbary, whopping, loped, run away, he loped up the dancers, he whipped up the dancers, loge, a watch, louse trap, a comb, low tide, when there's no money in a man's pocket, lushy cove, a drunken man, make, a halfpenny, mannikin, a dwarf or diminutive fellow, maunders, beggars, maundering breath, scolding, megs, guineas, meat, to spend money, mill clapper, a woman's tongue, mist, a contraction of commission signifying a shirt, smock, or sheet, mishtopper, a coat or petticoat, Moabites, sergeants, bailiffs, and their crew, moon curser, a link boy, mower, a cow, muck, money, wealth, mutton monger, a lover of women, mutton in long coats, women, a leg of mutton in a silk stocking, a woman's leg, nab, a hat, cap, or head, also a coxcomb, ne'er a face but his own, not a penny in his pocket, nimjimmer, a doctor, a surgeon, an apothecary, nubbing cheat, the gallows, nutcrackers, a pillory, oak, a rich man of good substance and credit, ogles, eyes, old flick, a knowing fellow, 1 in 10, a parson, pad the hoof, journeying on foot, panum, bread, panter, a hart, pantler, a butler, peaches, discovers, informs, peeper, a looking glass, Peter, a portmanteau, or clothes bag, peg tantrums, as gone to peg tantrums, dead, penance boards, a pillory, penthouse nab, a very broad-brimmed hat, periwinkle, a peruke or wig, Philistines, sergeants, bailiffs, and their crew, porker, a sword, property, a mere tool or implement to serve a turn, a cat's foot, prig, a thief, quail pipe, a woman's tongue, queer cuffin, a justice of peace, also a churl, rabbit suckers, young spendthrifts, taking goods on tick of pawnbrokers or tallymen at excessive rates, rattling cove, a coachman, red rag, a tongue, your red rag will never lie still, your tongue will never be quiet, regraters, forestallers in markets, ribbon, money, rotan, a coach or wagon or anything that runs upon wheels, but principally a cart, roister, a rude roaring fellow, ruffin, the devil, ruffmans, the woods or bushes, rumbeck, a justice of peace, rumbo, a prison, rumboozling welts, bunches of grapes, rumboiled, sought after with a warrant, rum clank, a large silver tankard, rumdagon, a silver hilted or inlaid sword, rum dropper, a vintner, rum ogles, fine, bright, clear, piercing eyes, rumstrum, a long wig, rumswag, full of riches, scab, a sixpence, school butter, a whipping, sconce, to run in debt or cheat, seeds, poor, moneyless, exhausted, setters, or setting dogs, they that draw in bubbles for old gamesters to rook, also a sergeant's yeoman or bailiff's follower, also an excise officer. Sharper, a swindler, a cheat. Sharper's tools, false dice. Shot, clapped or poxed. Shoved the tumbler, whipped at the cart's tail. Skinflint, a griping, sharping, close clown, also the same as flat. Smearer, a painter or plasterer. Smeller, a nose. Smelling cheat, a nosegay, also an orchard, a garden. Smiter, an arm. Smug, a blacksmith, also neat and spruce. Smite, to wipe or slap. Snitch, to eye or see anybody. The cub snitches, the man eyes or sees you. Snout, a hogshead. Sack, a pocket. Shanks negs, the feet. Snacks, full share. Son of prattlement, a lawyer. Soul driver, a parson. South Sea Mountain, Geneva. Sal's baby, a pig. Spanish money, fair words and compliments. Spanks, money, gold or silver. Specked wiper, a coloured handkerchief. Spiritual flesh broker, a parson. Split fig, a grocer. Splitter of causes, a lawyer. Spoil pudding, a parson who makes his morning sermon too long. Squeal, an informer. Squirish, foolish. Stamps, legs. Stampers, shoes or carriers. Stickflams, a pair of gloves. Stoter, a heavy blow. Strapper, a handsome woman. Strummel, straw. Strum, a periwig. Stubble't, hold your tongue. Suit and cloak, good store of brandy or agreeable liquor. Sapouch, a hostess or landlady. Swag, a shop. Swell cove, a man with plenty of money. Tagmans, a gown or cloak. Tanner, a sixpence. Tears of the tankard, drops of good liquor that falls aside. Thrums, threepence. Tickler, a knowing fellow. Tile, a hat. Tip of the buttery, a goose. Tip, to give or lend. Tips your flivver, give us a shake of your hand. Toggery, clothes. Top diver, a lover of women. Topping cheat, the gallows. Topping cove, the hangman. Topped, to go out sharp, to be upon one's guard. To twig, to disengage, to sunder, to break off. To twig the darbies, to knock off the irons. Track, to go. Trees, wins threepence. Trib, a prison. Trine, to hang, also Tyburn. Trock, a drunkard. Trooper, a half-crown. Trundles, peas. Tumbler, a cart. Turkey merchant, driver of turkeys. Vampers, stockings. Velvet, a tongue. To tip the velvet, to tongue a woman. Vinegar, a cloak. Wattles, ears. Whack, a share. Wids, words. Whipshire, Yorkshire. Hooball, a milkmaid. Whiskers, a great lie. White wool, silver money. Wibble, sad drink. Whittle, to tell or discover. He whittles, he peaches. He whittles the whole scrap. He discovers all he knows. The cull whittled because they would not tip him a snack. The fellow peached because they would not give him a share. They whittle beef and we must brush. They cry out thieves and we must make off. Whinyard, a sword. Whip off, to run away, to drink off greedily, to snatch. He whipped away from home, went to the alehouse, where he whipped off a full tankard, and coming back whipped off a fellow's hat from his head. White swelling. A woman big with child is said to have a white swelling. Witcher, a silver bowl. Wing, a penny. Womblety cropped, the indisposition of a drunkard after a debauch in wine or other liquors. Wooden ruff, a pillory. He wore the wooden ruff, he stood in the pillory. Word pecker, one that plays with words, a punster. Yam, to eat heartily, to stuff lustily. Yarmouth capon, a red herring. Yarum, milk or food made of milk. Yellow George, a guinea. Yelper, a town crier, also one subject to complain or make a pitiful lamentation. Sneeze, frost or frozen. Sneezy weather, frosty weather. End of chapter 23. End of the surprising adventures of Bampfylde Moore Carew, King of the Beggars, by Bampfylde Moore Carew.